interpretation of the word itself. If not, then we start from the word itself. Can we start from the word itself? Yes. Okay. Olufuko is the initiation of girls from girlhood to womanhood. The word itself started from, say for example, when it's raining, on the anthill or at the anthill comes some kind of insects, and it's flying around. And when it flies around, it comes down and it rolls back like this, and then it breaks off its wings. And then it goes back into the anthill. And then the Awambo refer to it as wa ehedi odafukala, ile otadifukala. That is also a reference to some other insect. Say for example, emuka ile edidi. Ohatikara dinoma baba, and then tadita make ku shatura lokota make ku okutuka, and then it roll over akuti otadifukala, and that is where the word okufukala came from. Let me go to the efundula, because Olufuko in Oshkwanyama we call it efundula. Efundula, when the preparation of a young girl is starting, people takes oidiavala, soham, and they take it to the house where a fundula is going to take place. And they prepare that soham, they put it on the floor, and they put sand on top of the oidiavala, and they water it with some sort of water. And then until such a time that it's kind of germinating, and then it was ready, and then they have to take it to Oshini, and it have to be pounded and get ready for Omalodu. Now, when they go now for the preparation of Idiavala at the house where the Olufuko is or Efundula is going to take place, they say they are going to Fundula Idiavala from where they put it. So that is where the concept of the word Efundula comes from. There are many interpretations. Some says it's when the people are dancing and they fundaula the soil. Well, we are not saying it's not, but that is another interpretation, another perspective. But what I collected from the community, from the bearer of that intangible heritage, is that is where the concept of the word came from. Okay, this research now that published this book was initiated by Otapic Town Council, and there has been quite a number of discourses going around concerning Olufuko. In 2012, the Otapic Town Council started Olufuko. However, as me myself, I've started it in 2009 when we did the researches in Okwanyama, Omnyekati village, and we go in Angola, and we go to that side of Otapi now to find out why is there so much negations about Olufuko. What is it all about? What does it entail? So we wanted to find out, as now a civil servant, I wanted to find out why is there so much discussion, negations about Olufuko. And then now in 2012, the Otapi Town Council decided, okay, let us find out. They give the task to the University of Namibia, MRC, and then the MRC, we were now part of the research team, or I was part of the research team that collected information from Olufuko in Otapi. I have to make it clear that we are many authors. Unfortunately, others couldn't be here, but I wished they would have been here, because this is quite an important discussion so that everybody could understand it. Okay, let me now comes to my paper. Olufuko is Oshimbaja and Oshimbano dialect, mean female initiation. The process signifies the transition of girls from childhood to mature stage. Olufuko refers to a set of rituals, practices, or ritual practices which signify the transition of young women into a responsible adult and marriageable women. When you go there, you will see how people are happy, enjoying themselves, appreciating that the lady or a girl is from now this stage to another stage. And you're gonna find them say, hey, iyalo, naichengawak, iyalo inovele ya kulila shimwe imutia tila shimwe ngolo. It's so entertaining. It's a community ceremony that is being enjoyed by each and every person who attended it. But there is a but there. It's believed that Olufuko legitimates womanhood and marriage, and it gives a right to sexuality and reproduction. It concerns women to bear children, empower young girls in social participation, and thus upgrade young girls' status to that of mature and respected good women. The initiation has been an important aspect of the social status of the Awambo women that lives in north-central Namibia and southern Angola. The process of Olufuko starts with the identification of young girls who have reached the appropriate age. Today, the initiates are usually between 15 and 20 years old. Their parents do the selection of the girls. In the summer of the year preceding the actual ceremonial date, the ceremony should then be scheduled to take place during the spring or summer of the following year. Initiates are expected to undergo various rituals for 5 days that, when successfully completed, earn them the status of Fuko. So when the person complete now this circle, then they are called, they are Fuko. Or she is Fuko now. Yeah. Their newly earned status turns them into a legally and socially mature women. Hence, it allows them to bear children even without social condemnation. During the pre-colonial era, girls who did not undergo the Olufuko ritual were not allowed to engage in sexual affairs or to bear children. If they did, it was regarded as a breach of taboo and were harshly punished. However, during the colonial era, girls that trespassed such order ran to the missionaries for protection. Thus, harsh punishment were hearted by both missionaries and colonial government. The main reason for the research, number one, is a criticism of Olufuko by religious leader. And I have to say, by missionary first. during colonial time. Olufuko rituals were practiced before the arrival of missionaries. However, upon the arrival of the European missionaries in the late 19th centuries, Olufuko was perceived as sinful practice, filthy and barbaric. It was therefore discouraged and became a secret social practice. When the Lutheran Church became aware of the secrecy status of the practice, Olufuko formed a center stage and became a subject of a discourse between people who practiced the initiation, the state, and the Lutheran religious leaders and their followers. This has been the situation for several decades. Missionaries heavily criticized those that participated in the ritual. Now, the converts to Christianity had to attend repent classes or run the risk of total excommunication from the church should it be found out that by the church that they were involved in Olufuko activity. Although the majority of people in our Owambo converted to Christianity, this did not discourage the rest of the people from participating in Olufuko ritual. As people feared persecutions by missionary, some of them shunned the church, while others opted to attend repent teachings after they partook in Olufuko ritual. As a result, the majority of the people who had converted to Christianity and wished to partake in Olufuko, they crossed the border into Angola to practice the initiation ritual in secrecy. The other main reason for the research is the suppression of the ceremony by colonialism. I have to state here that during colonialism, Olufuko has been suppressed from both ends, by missionaries and by colonial government. However, there were some other colonial administrators who were also supporting it. And let me tell you again that by that time, if we look into people in the borderline, Angola and Namibia, Angola was severely affected by the war, and people were now having mixed feeling. Should we run away? Should we be here? Number one, people were coming now from Angola, coming to Namibia because there are missionaries in Namibia who are accepting them, and in Angola there is harsh war that is killing, that is burning their houses, that is killing almost everybody. Now they were saying, Ati koshilongo shemwe nyombali. Why shemwe nyombali? Because they are being killed. Here in Namibia there are missionaries. Now they were told by missionary that you will have this life that you are living, and another life. When you die, you will get another life. Now, thinking that you'll be killed by the Portuguese in Angola, why can't you run here? Well, when you're killed, you'll get another life. So it was a situation that you really, even me myself, I would have run somewhere because of the war. Okay. So the war or colonialism has severely affected the practice of Olufuko, because in many instances, when people gather like this time, either in Angola or inside Namibia, the house will be surrounded by soldiers, and everybody in the house, women are beaten, severely beaten, men are killed, in a pretense that you are Oshikulo. And Olufuko is feeding Oikulo. And they do not want Oikulo to be fed. And then we do have another criticism now by some religious leader in post-colonial Namibia. After Namibia independence on the 21st March 1990, Olufuko regained its prominence, a shift that appeared to have been owed to numerous factors. The Constitution, which made provision for every person to be entitled to enjoy, profess, maintain, and promote any culture, any language, any tradition, provided that they are not in conflict with other people's rights. And this is in the Constitution of the Republic of Namibia, Article 19. This provision was further supported by the Namibian government culture policy, which was introduced from the around about 1990 there, 95, yeah. So the government realized that in order to establish the national unity project, first emphasis need to be placed on ethnic identity, and thus introduced a new unity in diversity approach. Through this approach, Namibia are encouraged to develop pride in their respective ethnic traditional culture, while still retaining a strong sense of loyalty of national unity. However, though political opposition to the practice of Olufuko has been elided, the antagonism of the ceremony by some religious belief remains intact. Hence, despite the constitutional guarantee for the people to practice their culture and the aspiration of some local people to practice Olufuko, some local church leaders vehemently discouraged people that participate in traditional rituals. It appears that even after the era of missionaries that has passed, local church leader, let me put it, some local church leader tend to convict and punish the church member that practice the rituals and make them confess before the congregation. The manifestation of the discourse on the making and unmaking of the women's identity through initiation rite revealed itself recently. In 2012, a letter signed by the Bishop of Evangelical Lutheran Church in Namibia was forwarded to all Alcin congregations, urging church members to distance themselves from the Olufuko ritual. This followed by immediately after an announcement by Otapi Town Council and Omsati Regional Council to hold an initiation rite during August 21st to 27th, 2012. According to the media report, the Chief Executive Officer of the Otapi Town stated that the main aim of the initiation ritual was to attract tourists and investors to the town. Elson responded by writing a letter to its congregations and warned members not to partake in the planned initiation. Upon inquiry, the governor of the Onsati region by then stated that, with due respect to the church, the festival is organized to celebrate our culture and tradition. The governor asserted further, we are not bringing back paganism, it is our tradition. This controversial exchange of words demonstrated Olufuko as a complex space of social altercations between various interested parties. In addition to the complex relation between local residents that wish to practice Olufuko, the church that discouraged the practice, there is a Namibian state that advocates the celebration of heritage as expressed in the country's constitution and implemented through various heritage projects and policy such as the state-sponsored cultural festivals. Olufuko has thus become a discourse unfolding from different angles. That of the church, the local community, and the state. Thus, it appears that despite the condemnation and denunciations and consequently demeaning and destruction of Olufuko as a social practice by missionaries and some of the current religious leaders, a certain population group continued to perceive Olufuko as a fundamental and significant practice in transition of the young girls' identity to womanhood. Okay, the research problem. What was the problem now here? The review of literature found that existing literature only offered the church-sponsored anti-Olufuko view, largely by church missionaries, with the aim to satisfy the interest and evangelism objective of the church. However, the view and perception of the bearer of such heritage on the essence of the ceremony were absent from the narrative. So it was kind or perceived as biased. So it was perceived as biased. This created a knowledge gap in the understanding of the original essence of Olufuko. Thank you again. It created a knowledge gap now in the understanding of the original essence of Olufuko based on the empirical data of Olufuko from the point of view of the local community, the bearer that practice the initiation. Another gap existed is that missionary used strategy of opposing Olufuko as a tool to civilize Africa. But then the question is, did the local church leader who took over from missionary work, and do they understood the core essence of this strategy? If so, why are they continuing opposing the traditional ceremony? Now, within the context of the current debate of Olufuko, the study aimed to understand the religious role and significance of this practice in historic and comparative terms before the advent of Christianity, during colonial period, and in post-colonial Namibia. It was therefore important to gather information from the affected people in order to generate empirical knowledge and understanding from the bearers of such intangible cultural heritage. As such, a particular focus was placed on the discourse and politics of Olufuko as pursued by local church leaders and local clergy versus the citizens that practice Olufuko in order to enhance social identity. The objective here, it's quite simple. It was just to find out the better understanding of the essence and original purpose of the meaning of Olufuko before colonialism and Christianity. To establish the extent to which Olufuko was impacted by Christianity and colonialism. To establish the extent to which Olufuko was impacted by the era of Namibian independence. To gather empirical data from community that practice Olufuko in order to generate knowledge and understanding from their perspective. And if it's done, then it could do justice on both hands. On the missionary side, on the religious side, and on the community, the bearer that practice the heritage. Some of the questions that we were trying to find out is that what is the position of the local church on Olufuko in post-colonial Namibia? How does the church position influence its relationship with the Namibian state in terms of its policy that promote practice and preservation of local and traditional act? What lesson can be learned from the comparative studies? What is the way forward in the promotion of social cohesion? Yeah, I think that is my presentation for this evening. Let me maybe just make a small note that gathering from the community, people believe that if the missionary could come here, we do not have the problem because we accepted their teaching, but then they cannot influence us to leave our culture and adopt their culture.
Yes. Yes.
Nobody could influence you to leave your culture and adopt another culture, because to you, your culture have more meaning than the other person, because your culture is influenced by the environment you live, by people whom you're interacting with, and by the society at large that is making you who you are. It's not only about Olufuko, it's about who am I, where am I, and whom am I interacting with? And that is what culture is all about. And let me put it again that as a civil servant, I am not only talking about this book, Olufuko. We have so many projects of intangible cultural heritage that we are carrying out. We do have the Icon Ghana Pop, the Nama music. We do have Okurua. We do have, in 2015, we have inscribed Oshitufisho Magongo onto UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage. So this is not the only project. I thank you.
Question is Tataku Amomban unaweza kutapikombano kurupaka tukafituka kahala yalo so ndino umayovera ngoma poeliani liotango kucha utuna ngawashimanyi chokucha unona mbuta nenge akava nambata ikoshitu finisho lufuko oyeli pokatike evula konongo nanano sio mirongo pali pekotamango pekotamango na Namibia onongo kulike kohievula onongo na hetatu okan ninge kohievula onongo na hama na okan. What about child marriages? That's my first question or point. Are we considering that ninge atushitari ko onevi ningo meho ndatu shekerehi oshitiali otogo pika akavon ondishino kuchopena ngo shufisha amati ndeharanga tango kwate pakashona mo nukucha amati hani ngwa gap shashi atutinga akavona matata ningwa kidago na matinga nawi haikwata naka yapungwa ngaye ndifenga afuka ko ngani nange nga afuko yo nene shashi ona nata haipeko meme ta vego meme ihata kama mfuno nao oika puk oyapungu kufuka le mo mwaga mene oshititatu atukwata nukucha the rights of the girls. Do these girls consent themselves? Because when everyone has the right to practice the culture as they wish. But do these girls consent to the culture? And if they consent, so first of all, I want to find out, do these girls consent? If yes, I want to be Fukalekwat, or I don't want to be Fukalekwat. I got to any of Shingis, so she goes, she view name. So, and then my last question, anti kanga mo shingisa shi shatak mo ngashonda shi icha ai ha randi shi na ma te anti kanga mo shingis nukucha ami mwene hero ngatingira mboy ngatingiro sherero. Okay, me too. Okay, next step. Okay, my fourth question is, I for one, I'm against the missionaries or the Christians wanting us to change to their practices and beliefs, because when before the missionaries came here in the late 1870s and the early 1880s, we already had what we're practicing. So my last question is, can religion and culture coexist? And if yes, how? And if no, then why not? Because I believe that religion conflicts or clashes a lot with culture, and I believe there are some harmful beliefs or some contradictory beliefs with religion or Christianity as a whole, and there are also some cultural beliefs or some harmful cultural practices that are also in culture. So how can we eliminate these two harmful practices that are in religion and culture and live in a better and peaceful Namibia? Those are my questions.
A different take on the rite of passage, the essential nature of it, and what it actually means. It besides being an academically written piece of paper, because I'm hoping to see another perspective, a black perspective in fact, and not from a perspective that I've already read before from the missionaries, from the writings of the missionaries, from the writings of the colonial masters. So I was a little bit, my dear colleague, with all due respect, a little bit taken aback by the fact that there was a lot of what I would call whitewashing of it. Maybe I haven't read the book yet, so I'm still to purchase the book and go further in it. Perhaps the further details are in the book. But I wanted maybe to ask Taterasi on what is your take on the continual, for me anyway, whitewashing of our work, of our rights, of our practices. Because it was more than just girls going to dance and going to this thing and coming back and everybody relates and obahafa. Okunasho shima shimwe we aka dona that they go and learn. Things that the schools do not teach. Things that our cultural policy has not even thought about. It's just a piece of paper once again. It's always just pieces of paper. They look very nice. But I want to know the essence of these things. When are we going to hear about the essential nature of our practices? And I'm hoping that the book goes into detail of that aspect. I thank you.
This is going to be the last time, so we do it very, very loud and very well. As loud as you can. 1, 2, 3. Alright, colleagues, 10 minutes break.
Ukadono how iko Olufuko ava iko Olufuko baba veripi. Well, girls that goes to Olufuko are girls that reach the stage of womanhood, and it is feared that the girl might go out of being a woman and she lose her dignity. And thus, that fear, the child or the girl child is told that, hey, be a woman, hold yourself, hold up yourself, and you have to be a woman, and don't bring shame in my house by falling pregnant before we give consent that you are now a full or a woman who a responsible woman. Thus, girls who have to go to Olufuko are girls that reach or that are perceived to reach the maturity stage, and those who do not yet have children, but they reach the procreative stage. I hope I answered that question. Child marriage, age 15 to 20. Are we not breaching the constitutional law? Here, let us not confuse the two. The marriage and the ceremony, the initiation ceremony. These are two different concepts, two different ceremonies. It's not one. It is not one. These are two different ceremonies. In Oshiwambo, if a woman goes in Olufuko, it's called Fuko. Ashike yakuti okwa hombolwa. Ina hombolwa ka. Fuko aikena ndigere ikakonga katona iti o ikakonga Fuko. Ndi ikakongo kana inga inakaenda inakiamo stage yo Fuko. And thus we have to make a distinction between Fuko and marriage. When this monale una onunguno ne afika o stage ya hombo, ngai na kuningo ceremony onungo haufana deta ku tai ko konsamana deta ku kaningwa oshivilo shokutulo mafia. Inao kalia hombo waka. Kalia hombolo ashike okwa appreciating wakuja, you reach the maturity stage. You hold your womanhood. You did not bring shame in our house. You do not, up to this stage, you do not have a child. And that is what it means. And please allow me, I have to touch things as it is. I don't really mean I really have to explain things as it is. Yeah. Let me give you one good example again. When we carry out this research, one of the girl who was part of the research team, when she carried out the research stage by stage, that was in August. From there she decided, I am going to Fukala. And in December of the same year, she underwent the ceremony. But she is not married, and until today, she do not have a child. It does not mean that if you undergo Olufuko, you are allowed or to frown against or to run around seeking for men, or men are allowed to run over or following you every time. That's not the essence of Olufuko. That's not the essence of Olufuko. But it allows the person that you are mature now, you can make your own decision, and we are supporting whatever decision you are making, if it is a correct decision. So let's make a distinction between the marriage and the ceremony. These are two different, completely different. Yeah. The other question: how about boys? Yes. Remember, let's put it in Oshiero. Oshiero, they have this thing of makura. The same ceremony that is being done today in hospital. But when it was done from the cultural perspective, people tend to shun it. It's not good, it's not good, it's not good. Now when they find out that there is a medical or health consciousness about it, everybody now it's brought from the Eurocentric perspective, and they say, okay,
Now, let's have a smart cut. Everybody, smart cut, smart cut, smart cut. But when it was done by the Europeans, you do not want to go there. Why?
Chako